Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Grey Exchange. How is everybody doing this evening? So this is going to be a little different. So the person, my guest this evening, I found them on Instagram versus YouTube. They do have a small YouTube presence, but more of an Instagram presence. So that will be intriguing and kind of letting you guys kind of explore that. So I put the links to her Instagram in the description below, and also to her YouTube channel in case because she's probably going to start creating YouTube eventually. But we'll get that information from her. Now, for you folks that are kind of walking in here, let me say what's up to a few folks before I get started here. What's up, Bonnie, Harvey? Thank you for being here, brother. Rena, Melissa. What else do we got? Let me skip past that. Mark, what's good, brother? Monty, Susan, Jeep Girl, Prepper 007, Sherry Leach. And I think I've caught up Patricia. Hopefully you guys are getting the notifications. I kind of blasted all over the place. To let everybody know that I was going live. But everybody's pretty much familiar with my schedule by now. Harvey is really good at pumping that out for me. What's up, Voodoo Queen? Good to see you. I'm glad you made it. Wendy, what's up? From Nova Scotia. That is awesome. All the way from Nova Scotia. Appreciate that, Wendy. Thanks for joining us. Hoot Owl. I'm watching you guys kind of trickle in here. I figure, the notifications are always running behind. All right. So anyways, let me do my little spiel here, guys. So, for the first 30 minutes, I'm going to ask my guest questions. And then after that first 30 minutes, then I'll take questions from you guys in chat. So hopefully you guys are cool with that. Also, I wanted to mention in every live stream that I do, I'm going to mention it. So remember I discussed with you folks, what's up, Northern Girl? How you doing? What's up, Josh? I wanted to remember to let everybody know about the Super Chat of the Month giveaway. And so far, I'm going to running it from April. I'm going to probably do it every month. But right now, so far, so basically with the Super Chat of the Month, folks that like to do the Super Chat, I'm going to take each time they Super Chat, I'm going to put their name in a bag. And in that bag at the end of the month, let's say they Super Chatted me 3 times, they'll get 3 entries, and then they're going to win a prize. And that prize can range anything from, like, let's say a dragon stove to a ferro rod or to whatever that case may be. Also, a lot of the members you see in green out there, they know what's going on. I have a member-only giveaway going on right now. Also, we're getting close to 5,000 subs, so I'll be giving away some stuff for my 5,000 mark as well. Now, let me finish this up real quick. The Super Chat of the Month so far, we have Everything at 2 entries, Monty at 2 entries, The Angry Prepper at 1 entry, Van Life with Gina has 3 entries, Dusty Data has 1 entry, Josh Gardner, who's in chat, as well as Monty, has 2 entries, and North Cal Prepper has 4 entries. All right, so enough of me jibber jabbering. I'm going to go ahead and bring up my guest, Mutha Prepper. Love the name, of course. I like saying that.
Hi, Grey. Thanks for having me.
Not a problem. So you are from Instagram. This is where I've I'm not going to say I discovered you, but where I found you. And if you want to introduce yourself and let folks know a little bit about you. Thanks, Josh, for this super chat. You do get another entry, brother. Let folks know a little bit about you and kind of, that kind of stuff. Yeah,
absolutely. Majority of my content that I have been making is on Instagram. It's just a platform that I'm most familiar with. So if you find me on YouTube, I apologize in advance for the lack of content. I'm working on it. But I am pretty junior with my prepping journey. I'm based in California, so kind of in the greater Sacramento area. And for me, prepping really has just been incorporated into my daily life. And I guess you could call it casual prepping, as far as always trying to think about ways to add either additional food or gear that's multi-purpose, that will have additional means that I can use in an emergency. For me, at least, I am a mom. I'm a student. Hello, college online. Woo! I work in technology by day, project management and technology by trade. So I feel like prepping was just very natural of a progression with the planning background, as well as trying to look forward with risk assessments. So that kind of just something that happened pretty naturally for me. So as far as prepping, I got started a few years ago. This is before I had my child. And even then, in the greater Sacramento area in California, we had some pretty big rains one season, and we have a levee that's not too far from us. But when the crazy amount of rains were happening, there was a very real risk that levee was going to break. Probably nothing compared to what other places in the country had gone through, but it was still a looming threat. And usually for here in this area, grass fires are our biggest natural disaster. So this was really different than what a lot of people in our area were conscious about. With that being said, even though it was a very real risk, I told my family, there's no way we're prepared if something was to happen. And that kind of started the journey. And, the prepping community is really a fantastic place to learn a lot of information. I feel like anywhere you turn, whether you watch YouTubes, like what you have posted, Grey, or if you stumble across, another person's Instagram or even Twitter feed, you'll always walk away with either a different perspective or a new thing to try or keep in mind as far as your continued survival for your family. So that was something that I just kept immersing myself in. Probably the reason it's difficult to go to bed at night, because you're just on your phone for hours and hours. But to me, it just becomes a way of staying in front of either the knowledge base, the skill set, or being just having the knowledge of what current events are and how that's going to impact you and your family. But prepping is definitely something that I feel like now more than ever is a hot topic. And I wanted to be able to showcase to people, hey, listen, I'm a mom from the burbs. Okay. I'm not like, I don't have massive amounts of land. I wish. That just doesn't really exist here in California. But if I can do it, and if I can incorporate these the prepping mindset into my everyday, everyday operations, I guess you could say, then anybody can do it. And so I wanted to help just kind of capture my journey, but hopefully to start a discussion in communities and in families, because I feel like it's super important. That is always an afterthought. So it's kind of my spiel. I hope I got covered a bit.
No, you did. And that's what intrigued me about you. I wanted to say what's up to everybody. I've seen a lot of people pop up in chat saying what's up. Some folks said what's up to you as well. And do you prefer me to call you Des or Mutha Prepper?
Either way it works. I'm still getting used to people like calling me and saying, hey, Mutha Prepper. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. I do that. So it's still fairly new for me. Either works.
Yeah. So, and this is what intrigued me about when I was kind of scourging Instagram. I do stuff on Instagram, and people that get recommended to me. So I happened to see her Instagram, and I started looking at her content. I was like, wow, this is pretty interesting. Like you said, a mother who has a full-time job, who lives in the burbs in California. Everybody, California, how restrictive it is and how people rant on about California. I even think Josh said the next thing for your preps is a U-Haul. But and there's a lot more to California than some people expect. Like I said, a lot of people like North Cal Prepper. He's in the Northern California, where it's a different type of environment. And if you're in a city, in any city environment, be it, let's say here in Florida, Miami is a different ballgame than the state of Florida. So like I said, it depends on your demographics. I know some people have different issues with that. I'm seeing new names in chat. That's very awesome. I appreciate that, guys. So to continue on with our discussion, like for you as a mom and stuff like that, what kind of got you prepping? Like, was there something traumatic that happened in your life? Was it like, let's say the wildfires or like what got you going in this direction?
It felt like, so it started with just the risk of, before we had children, the risk of, a natural disaster nearby and the levee breaking and possible flooding. And then every year, I think it's just something we're seeing more and more of, right? Every year there's always a natural disaster threat, and it doesn't have to just be limited to natural disasters. I think part of the prepping is understanding what are going to be threats that are probably going to impact your life. Yeah, I wouldn't prepare for a flood if I lived in Arizona is kind of what I'm getting at. But every year was always something. So whether it was at one point our whole state was on fire. I know we talked about that before, but it's very real. So just being able to support the idea of, hey, if we need to get the hell out of here, are we ready to do so? And are we going to be able to survive if we have to be on the road or just completely leave? And do we have a plan? And I think that as a mom, that is intensified. And you think about all the possibilities and all the situations where you will need to continue to care for your children. And I have a toddler, so I can't exactly tell her to go get her backpack and let's go. So there's a lot of responsibility as parents when you are, thinking forward and prepping. You are their protector, and your family unit needs to come together with the plan to be able to make this work. Oop, did I lose you? Uh-oh. I think we might have lost him. Hey, guys. I hope we didn't lose him.
You're good. My whole screen blinked out for a second, but that's
okay.
how live streams go.
I was like, if this turns into, I was gonna say, if this turns into the Mother Prepper show for a second, I don't quite know how to keep it afloat. So but long story short, prepping with a child, especially ones that are like very dependent at their age, are things that we have to think of as our responsibility as parents. And it's tricky. Have you prepped formula lately, Grey? It's tricky. And so every time your kid grows, and every time you find that you're clearing out their old shoes and, clothes that don't fit them anymore, you have to think about, have I also updated their go bag? And have I updated gear that they're going to need to use? Is it the right size? Does it work? Have we tested it? These are all things. And I firmly believe your go bags and your kits should have versions, should have iterations. You should be checking those regularly. So that just kind of builds on to that habit, which is nice to see. But to answer your question short, version, being a mom or being a parent, and having a care for children, it just intensifies the need to be that much more prepared, because you have little tiny humans that are depending on you very, very much.
No, very understandable. Real quick, Rainy Steps, thank you for the super chat. You will be entered in the super chat of the month giveaway, just to kind of say that real fast. And let me unhide that. Thanks, Harvey. I don't know why that was blocked. But so yeah, no, that's what that intrigues me, because a lot of folks, my daughter, she's 12 years old. She'll be 13 this year. So it's a little bit easy to manage her in regards to prepping and getting her go bag or bug out bag or whatnot together, versus, someone who has an infants or toddlers, or, someone in that kind of like that, let's say 10 and under age group, you know what I mean? So that's also another thing that intrigued me about your Instagram, and how I feel that from where because how long you've been prepping for? You said about 2 years now?
Yeah, just about.
And I've noticed that you have a good knowledge base of a lot of material in your Instagram and whatnot. And if you guys notice, I keep on referring to her Instagram because that's where her main material is at right now. Her main content is, and she is working on YouTube. She has a couple of videos. I went and liked both of them. But hopefully we'll see more of her content come down the road as she expands and has time for YouTube. So you were touching on, let's say, get home bags and bug out bags and whatnot. Do you have one for each member of the family?
Absolutely. One, I think it's critical to have, at least in my perspective, again, everything is subjective for everybody, but for our family, what works best is having a go bag for every single member of the family, because what's in those bags are going to be customized for that person. You're not going to have, if not only is it important to have a go bag per person just for their customized items inside, whether it's specific medication, clothes and shoes that fit them, if in their go bag, medical items that they're going to need that are unique to them, but also, and I know a lot of people, they say, well, it's too expensive to do this times 3 or times your family member. And it's like, okay, but if you are fleeing and you use one family bag and somebody drops that one family bag, what the hell are you going to do? That's it. That's all your resources in that one bag. And so the duplicity is kind of this built-in opportunity to still have a backup to the backup. And I think that's part of the ideology and the thought process of prepping, is to always have these backups and have resources available for you. And so a lot of the times the medical kits will have a lot of the same things, over-the-counter medication, the basic items, you'll see many of those. I mean, 3 can opener, you never know. So for us, for a family of 3, it's important to have as many of those same items that have multi-purpose in those bags, but also to make sure that you have an individual bag that is unique for that person's either sizing or just their unique medical needs, I guess is a big one. But also it's trying to find the balance also of what is too heavy for one person to carry, and what has enough of the items that you need to survive for 72 hours, and then some. And it's, again, part of the journey of checking, rechecking, repacking, keeping an account of what you have and what you might need. So, and you'll have to forgive me because I've had coffee again, Gray. I told you I was going to do this again where I had coffee and I rambled. But short answer is at least for me, every member of the family should have their own go bag.
No, I agree. I'm right there with you. I totally agree with that. And I can see folks in some of the chat are talking about that. And I see Charlie and I'll Ghost Wolf in chat. And Charlie, I kind of stole a page out of your book because I remember you did you did a live stream with someone from Instagram. And I was like, you know what? That's a great idea. Just to give you credit, Charlie. I appreciate that. But so I was thinking as you were saying that, because this is what I've been trying to do on my channel. I've been trying to find folks all over the US, all over the world, right? And women and men, because everybody has a different take on the way they do things and the way they learn stuff and the way they progress in prepping. So I like to hear different sides of how each individual does things in regards to the prepping game, or however you want to call it. And, that's why I was intrigued by, like, when you said you had a small child, I was like, that's something that you would have to think of, like, let's say formula, medications, and clothing, and trying to keep them warm, all that stuff like that. You have to think beyond just standard survivability. Let's say if you had to leave your home. Thanks, brother. So anyways, now when it comes to gear, like when you first started prepping, did you think like, man, there's so much stuff I got to get? Or were you very smart and did your research, and did you look around before you actually purchase gear? Or did you just kind of like go like 100 miles an hour towards it?
I think that's one of the things that people, when they start their prepping journey, is kind of this analysis paralysis, because they think about what they need to survive and they're like, shit. Oh, sorry. Can I cuss on here? They're like, crap, it's too much. It's too expensive. There's so much stuff I have to get. It's not worth it. And I think that's a big deterrent for a lot of people, but there are smart ways to approach this. For me, I took a very gradual approach to what my gear and my preps were. So if I'm at the grocery store, is this an opportunity for me to snag an additional bag of rice, or dried goods? If I know that I'm going to be home cooking more, is it something where I should invest in my bags or a food saver to be able to lengthen the time of my dry goods and things like that? I also know that there are a lot of resources that people don't quite often think about when they're looking at the more expensive gear. So if you're looking for the opportunity to have like tents, if you want to just have available tents that if you want to use for both outdoors, but also as prep gear. I think the secondary market is a big place for that people don't often go to see, hey, what is gear that is available to me that I can utilize that's still in really great condition, that is probably a fourth of the price. Not only that, but there are resources that are local to you. One of the ones that was really helpful for me was we have a local Sacramento Habitat for Humanity store that basically gets a bunch of donations from big box stores, and a lot of it's outdoor gear, sleeping bags, all the things for a fourth of the price. And there are places where you can utilize the resources that you have locally to get gear, get food. I had a chance to connect with another prepper, femme prepper. We kind of did very similar, like an interview process like this. And one of the things she had also mentioned is that a lot of the times these local food banks are at capacity for what they can take as far as canned goods and dry goods. And a lot of the times they're asking the community to come by and please pick it up because we're at capacity. Those are places also where you can stock up on a lot of the food storage and inventory you want to keep on hand. So there are ways to take advantage of things that aren't as costly. I know Tennessee Tactical mentioned thrift stores are awesome. They're absolutely a gold mine. They're a lot of fun, so you'll lose a lot of hours in there if you're looking for some cool stuff. But there are resources, and I think a big deterrent is price. But I'll tell you, I was at the store the other day, and a can of vegetables that lasted a very long time was 78 cents. So it's not a whole lot. And if you just incorporate this forward thinking into everything that you do, in no time, you'll see that you have a pretty good stash. You have a pretty good inventory of what to survive on. And I think that'll also show a lot of family members that you're trying to encourage them to think this way and to consider these things. That'll help them understand that it's not this big, huge change that's going to require them to invest hundreds and hundreds of dollars. There are some things that I've bought on purpose that are a bit more utility. So for example, we have terrible water out here, and I do not like drinking our tap water because it's terrible. But I also didn't want to pay for water delivery service or just cycle through a bunch of water bottles. It just wasn't sustainable and it wasn't great. So we invested in a Berkey because, one, the water's better when it's filtered, at least in our opinion, filtered that way. But also, if we need to be able to go or take that outdoors for, camping, that's something that is gravity powered, and we can use that without electricity and in any environment. So kind of thinking about the things that you do want to invest in. Are there different ways you can use this? Can you use it outdoors? Does it require electricity? It kind of, being in this prepper mindset really makes you think about things and the items you do invest in a little bit different. I hope that covers it. I hope that answers your question.
You're doing an excellent job. I know, because I know YouTube is a different monster versus Instagram. So I thought about something we were talking about, because I see some folks in chat saying that some of their food banks are short or don't have enough food. So have you seen in your local grocers and your food banks have plenty of food in your area?
It comes and goes, right? We had some times where the logistics chain was obviously impacted. And I think that kind of helped people kind of wake up to, hey, you should probably consider, what is that going to look like for gardening or having a food stash? And I think that's one of the reasons people get into prepping. So it definitely, it depends on the week. But at the same time, what's also nice about that is if you have ample amount, that's something that you can contribute back to your community by giving, some of what you have that might be extra or whatever you're willing to give back. But it definitely comes in waves. So I know utilizing the food bank, your local food bank, as one of the items to consider, it's not always going to work, especially right now. A lot of places are super strained. But in better times, that sometimes if they just have too many, if they have too many donations at one time, that's something they might advertise. So it really varies. But for at least for us, it's kind of changed week to week.
Stars Prepper, that's actually a pretty good idea. You can rotate your preps and give to banks. That's a pretty cool idea. I never thought about that. Thanks for mentioning that. So in your bug out bag, I noticed I've kind of seen some of your stuff on Instagram and pictures and stuff like that, because I know you're very intelligent in the way you pick certain things. But I was going to ask you, do you have a preference in water filtration? I know you have the Berkey at home, which is an excellent water filtration device, one of the best to me on the market. But for portable water filtration, do you have like a LifeStraw versus, a Sawyer or Sawyer Mini or whatnot?
Yeah, I actually ordered the Sawyer. So that's in the mail. Thank you, Amazon. I told you I'm from the burbs. So if I can get it primed to my door, I'm going to do it. But if I have LifeStraw, and, worst case scenario, we have the purification tablets, which I try to kind of keep that as my very last resource, because, if you're not paying attention, you can get the ratio wrong. But Berkey is absolutely kind of our first option. And then we have LifeStraws. We also have the backup, the LifeStraw water bottles themselves, and the backup LifeStraw that you can drink directly from your water source. And then lastly, the water purification tablets, because, we know pretty clearly that water is going to be our biggest resource that we need when things hit the fan.
Now, like I say, since you have a family, have you guys done it? Like, do you guys ever do any camping or anything like that? Or like, let's say test out, go out and test some of the gear that's in your bags?
Yeah, so we've had a chance to do some smaller camping trips. This year is really going to be an opportunity for us to do more of the gear testing. I think this last year was kind of very difficult for a lot of people. A lot of places weren't really open, even some of the campgrounds. Luckily, we have a backyard, so if we want to pitch a tent and try our gear in the back, we can do that. But also for us, it was a little bit more difficult because we were trying to wait till my toddler was kind of fully able to walk and on her own and be mobile, because if you have a rooftop tent, it's kind of scary getting your kid up there who can't quite hold on and have their own balance. But now that we're past that stage, it's going to be the year to really test out a lot of that stuff. So we're excited. If that means, a bunch of camping in the backyard, we're going to do it, because it's a way to test our gear and to make sure that what we have packed isn't too heavy. But I think the more you can just get familiar with what's in your pack and test your gear, and also just kind of do mock, evacuations if you need to, that is always something that's important. We should try to do as often as possible.
Agreed. I just read a comment in chat. Sherry Leach, yeah, no, I would never do that. It says, please do not donate expired foods. I volunteer and we have a sort of throw out of expired food. That being said, Sherry, I have cans that are, out of date, that I keep for myself. And the reason, because the expiration date is just the government's way of saying, throw this food away, buy new stuff. But I respect that, for what you said. And I would never do that myself personally. But so I was thinking, with the water filtration and stuff like that, have you also, like I said, I know people get ferro rods. We're going to kind of dive into fire now. They have ferro rods, they have lighters, they have matches and stuff like that. Like, do you have a preference on your fire starting stuff, and have you experimented with it?
So that's something that I wanted to try to tackle and understand a bit more. What's interesting is I actually just got some of these stormproof matches in the mail today. So that's an option. I think just like water, having different options in your bug out bag are important. So whether they're waterproof matches, stormproof, if you can find other means to be able to start fire, lighters, having those handy, the more options, the better. I haven't found a preference, or I haven't found a method that I prefer just yet. We haven't really started testing those, but got some gear that I want to test out myself. But I'm all ears if you have one that works best for you. There was one I found on Instagram that was really, really cool. I forget the name of it, but basically they take little bits of the wood chips wrapped in some cotton, and they take two wooden planks, and the friction of them rubbing together and having that, I forget what it's called, it's escaping me, but it heats up enough to where it starts a fire, or sparks. So I want to try that out. I don't know if there's a specific dryness to the wood or what that looks like, but now is definitely the time to get really familiar with those methods.
Agreed. Matt, speaking of that, I was watching one of your videos on Instagram that I thought was pretty intriguing. Is what do you do if you don't have a can opener, and how to open a can? I don't know if you want to explain to the folks how you literally opened a can of food without using a can opener. And I mean, you put some effort and work into that too.
Yeah, I was. So of course I chose a can of tuna. So that, spilled everywhere. But if, I think a lot of the times we don't remember that we need some of the tools to get into some of these canned foods, especially when you're camping. I don't know how many people have been camping without a can opener. It sucks, but it's possible. So you just need to find an abrasive surface. I used kind of this cement paver, but basically it's going to take a bit of elbow grease. You take one of the sides where the lip of the can is not as high as the other one. It's usually the bottom of the can. And you really just kind of rough up the edges, and that metal will wear down. You want to be careful because it is sharp, but you want, essentially, with some elbow grease and some pressure and friction, that'll wear down the metal, the aluminum, enough for you to crack that open. It will be messy, but I mean, in emergency situations, I'm sure that's not what people care about, but it is possible. I know a lot of the times canned goods have those tabs. Those break too, by the way. So if you ever are stuck and you don't have a can opener, that as long as you have an abrasive surface like a brick or cement, you can get into that can. You can get in there.
Yeah, no, I thought that was pretty cool. I like the way you did that, and I was like, all right, you're using your brain, you're thinking outside the box for certain stuff like that, and that's the best thing about preppers, is that we think, okay, well, if this is not going to work, how can we do this in a different manner? So I thought that was very intriguing the way you did that. So we're almost at a half hour, but one thing I wanted to touch on you before we start taking questions from chat is gardening, and how is it gardening in the burbs? You know what I mean? Like, I'm assuming you're very limited on space and whatnot, and like what kind of fruits and vegetables you got growing, and any challenges you come across that.
Yeah, so there's not a lot of space for a lot of places in California, but we chose to build our own raised beds because the soil here, at least in my immediate area, is terrible. It's like clay. So nothing's going to grow there unless it's weeds, and that's not what we want. But this is kind of the first year I'm taking, trying out gardening. I've done strawberries and tomato plants, which are very easy before, but this is the first year where we're really looking at some of the vegetables. The root-based vegetables like, radishes and potatoes and carrots they take a little bit more time, so you do need some patience, but so far it's going good. It's spring here, and that means the temperatures they're warming up and we have ample sunshine. It's not searing hot yet in Sacramento, but it will be. So far it's been a good journey. I'm growing a few varieties of lettuce, all of the herbs that I can get my hands on, just because you're probably going to utilize that a bit more, but also it encourages you to know which plants are finicky, which ones can grow together in a single bed, which ones need their own space. Tomatoes are always going to be easy. So we started as a family, with some of the more, the easier things, just to get a hang of either a watering schedule, what is that the sunlight conditions. And it's going good so far. We're looking at our first harvest in the next couple of days of the leafy greens, just because they grow so well in the sunlight. And we have some strawberries that are coming in, but pests are starting to come around when they know the strawberries are getting ready. So that's going to be something I'm going to look to the community and try to learn from you guys as far as how do you keep pests, birds at bay, because I'm sure that's part of the gardening learning curve, and I'm always here to learn some more, but I can see pretty clearly that's going to become an issue any day now.
No, I was going to say, me and Mark, and there's several of us that get together and we talk a lot about gardening, fishes and lobes. There's a bunch of great gardeners on there. Matter of fact, I'll be interviewing, I know me and Josh, gardener Josh, we're trying to work out a schedule to have him on the channel, and he's a great gardener. And because I need these tips for myself because of where I live, and I'm jiving and gardening myself. It's actually turning out pretty good. We just had broccoli sprout and some other vegetables. The tomato plant's looking good. And we're playing with some other things, peppers, basil, and stuff like that. But usually I don't do this, but since people can't really see you as much on YouTube, I wanted to kind of showcase something real fast. I'm going to add this to the stream. So this is Mutha Prepper's, her Instagram here. Okay, guys. So if you look, this is kind of give you an idea of some of the things that she does on her Instagram with the gardening. She does some live streams. There's a generator, soil, just to kind of want it. There's the Berkey. This was a very cool video. I like that. Just to kind of give you a look into her Instagram. And this is, where she has her stuff packed up.
Yeah.
So on and so forth. But I just wanted to give you guys a look at, how I found her, what intrigued me by her, some of the stuff that she has done for prepping. So if you guys are part of the Instagram, this was that video that I was talking about that I was intrigued by, how she opened that can up by just rubbing it on there. But yes. So this was also cool. I thought that was really neat. I had never known that prior to that. Never noticed it before, that you can, get a fish hook out of a can.
Yep. I found that one on Instagram too. And it was like, no way. And then I tried it. I was pretty blown away that that's possible. So there's some pretty cool tips and tricks that I find myself and I'll save and I'll want to recreate. But it's a ton of fun, and it inspires a lot of conversation. And that's one thing I really, really love about the prepping community, is that everybody is so invested in this continual learning and being able to share tips and tricks and things that have been helpful for them. I have yet to ever encounter a poor experience where somebody didn't want to share something cool. But it's been quite a fun journey just to be able to take this knowledge, apply it to your daily life, or try them out yourselves, like the fish hook one. I also try to focus on some things that are important to keep in mind safety-wise, maybe in the home. We have firefighters in our family, so fire safety runs very close to my family. So just keeping some things top of mind for safety in your car, in your home. Fortunately for us, we live in a one-story building, so we don't have to really think about escaping from the second story. But there's a lot of people moving and relocating and everything right now. And I feel like a lot of the times too, just with something like fire safety, fire extinguishers, the different kinds, the ones you want to keep in the kitchen or in your house or your car, a fire ladder, a lot of those things are an afterthought. personally, I think they should come with the house, but it's something that we want to, also keep in mind, not just with thinking about natural disasters and emergency preparedness, but what are you doing to make sure that your home is safe too? So I try to incorporate a little bit more of that because I'm a mom. It's more of my reality day to day. So I try to capture what I can.
Awesome. And I'm sitting there listening to you and I'm looking at chat, and it seems this is why I did the Instagram thing, because a lot of people are like, wow, that was pretty cool. Just so you guys can see, some of her stuff that she's done on Instagram. Like I said, that's what kind of drew me in. And then of course, I approached her. But yeah, so I'm going to ask you, we're past the half-hour mark now. So folks, if you have questions for Mutha Prepper or Des, whatever you prefer to call her, put them all caps and I'll answer those questions. You can even do it at GreyMan or one of my moderators will highlight it to me in case I do miss anything. But if you guys have questions for Des, please put them in all caps and I'll ask them for you. And I'm going to ask her a quick question while you guys populate some questions for my guest. Now, being that you're a prepper and being where you're at in your family now, I'm assuming that your husband and children are probably on board with you prepping, correct?
Yeah.
Now, outside of the family, do you get anybody that knows that you're a prepper that kind of gives you like that, that's weird, or
I've I've had a few people at work kind of stumble across my Instagram, or it kind of just comes up in conversation. And a lot of the times you get you're overthinking it, or that would never happen. But this past year alone had really showcased how very real that can be. And a lot of people have said before that this is pretty small scale for what could happen on our, as far as what we could experience, whether it be natural disasters or, coronavirus, really opened a lot of people up to what that could look like if it was a much worse situation. So I got a lot of people at the beginning when I first started, because this is pre-COVID. This is, before a lot of, at least the state was not on fire at the time. And a lot of the times we got, I got the like, that's a waste of your money. Don't you want to go on vacation? Don't you want to just relax? It's fine. You just flee. You'll be fine. And I think a lot of the times, people can sometimes say that because they start to think, oh crap, I myself am not prepared. My family's not prepared. My family wouldn't even know where to meet if there was like suddenly all the communication lines went down. And I think a lot of the times, what I get most of the time, I should say, is people who are like, that's too much. That's never going to happen. And then a couple weeks later, they're like, so what can you get at the dollar store that I could start, a kit with? And so I think it's, the very least what I can do, and I need to work on my YouTube, I'm sorry guys, but the very least what I can do is provide people that are close to me or people I just encounter and meet a place to be able to ask those questions to start their own journey. Because a lot of the time, the people who I've met that are now embarking on their own prepping journey and being able to make a plan as a family, they uncover some really cool tips or some gear that I had not seen or thought of. And then they share that with me. And that's kind of that cycle I talked about, where there's just this continual space to learn and to provide more of a contribution back to the community. So the more we talk about it, the more we normalize thinking forward in case of emergencies and survival and preparedness. I think when and if that happens again, where we're faced with either a natural disaster in our immediate space, we'll be more prepared. A lot of the times what I've seen is a whole block or community will get really involved in making sure that they're close-knit. They'll have like a neighborhood garden, being able to share information as far as ways to communicate or, share gear that works for them. The more we can encourage people to be self-sustaining and be prepared, I think the better. So I really love every time I get a chance to dive really deep with the community. It's more of a learn for me. So I have quite a bit of takeaways, but I hope that I can at least inspire one person that hasn't even given prepping a thought. Hopefully I can change their mind a bit.
Yeah, awesome. That's the same way I think in regards to that. If I can at least help one person, I feel like that's a job well done. And I find preppers everywhere. I find preppers on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, because some preppers, there's a lot of preppers that are either on YouTube, but there's a lot that are not. And that's why I try to reach out to a lot of different folks. But I do have a question for you. The roaming prepper asks, what soil are you using for the outdoor boxes?
So we got our soil at Costco because again, I'm in the burbs and it was just easier. So, but the ratio, or I'm sorry, I'm forgetting the ratio, but it was the one that we were able to get from Costco was a mixture of compost already included. I don't really, for me at least, I'm not too picky, especially because it's the first time I'm trying this. I'm not too picky whether or not it's organic soil and compost or not. But so far it's been really good because again, the stuff we have to work with is terrible. But what I've seen, there are a lot of places that are really, there's a lot of sales going on for gardening. I feel like that's a huge thing that a lot of people are doing. But also I would encourage, if you can, reaching out to your local businesses that supply soil and rocks, because I know that's going to be a really great resource as well, as part of utilizing local businesses.
Awesome. Stuart W asked, and I think we kind of hit this on there. If you can do a really quick recap or of what he asks. Is Stuart W asks, if I can get it out, if I could spit it out right. What was the deciding factor to begin prepping?
For me, knowing that if my house catches fire or if I have a flood in my house and we need to flee and we don't have a place to go, I have no plan, nothing. I don't even have granola or a water bottle in my car at the time. I do now, but at the time that was super scary. And I think that was already scary enough for me, but having a child and having tiny humans that depend on you was just like, okay, I got to get my shit together because this cannot happen where I'm unprepared. So at least that was the turning point for me.
Muzzle Flash, he's directed a question at me. He says, how safe is Instagram? Do they track and trace everything on your device? Well, Muzzle Flash, no more than Google, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, no matter where you at. If you have a phone, if you have a bank account, they're tracking you. They have your information, brother. There's no way of getting away from that unless you go full off grid and disappear in the woods and become a mountain man. Then you might be able to get away with that. What's up? Without North and South Homestead, hello. I'm kind of trying to catch up on chat here. Let me scroll through this here. Good. And Tube does the same track. Yeah, Stuart, you're right on the money. See, I'm behind. I keep a fire extinguisher match classic. They're burning one of the kids inside a burning house fire. I think at 2 a.m. in your pajamas. What? Hold on. I keep a fire extinguisher in the master in case I had to go running after one of the kids inside a burning house. If you think about it, at 2 a.m., you're in pajamas and barefoot. Agreed.
Yeah, I need to do that. We have one in the kitchen, in the hallway, in the garage, in our cars. I need to put one in the master closet. That's a great idea.
What's up, Comrade Radio? Good to see you, brother. I did see another question pop up. Hoot Owl Holler says, Des, what is your goal for how much food storage you put away?
Oh, that's a great question. It started with 72 hours in our go bags, and having that ideally for us, at least a month. And then I always try to revisit this and plan for a longer period of time and cycle out our food inventory and dried goods and things like that. But at least for me, to feel better, I try to always aim for at least a month where we would not need to get food elsewhere. And that's going to be, of course, going to get a bit more complicated with, what does that look like for refrigerated goods and for freezer items, assuming you have or don't have power. But for us, we wanted to at least get to the goal of 30 days as a family of 3, and then work further than that. But I'd love to hear what you guys have because I'm always learning.
There's a lot of good people in this chat. And they have a lot of great information.
Yeah.
And there's just so many good people in this community. Shawnee says, it shocks me when I talk to other moms with young kids and they don't have a bag packed or even food box put together for a quick grab in an emergency. Right on the money.
It shocks me too. It really does. And then I have these conversations at the playground with moms and they're like, you're crazy. I'm like, don't come to me then. if there's a problem, please don't come over because we won't have a play date because I won't have extra diapers and stuff for you guys.
I saw Phoenix. What's up? I don't know if I'm just Shift Engineering. Glad you can make it. Ginger Ninja. Where I saw Dangerous Freedom. What's up, brother? Glad to see you in the house, man. North and South. You see questions and all prepping, Mother Prepper in all caps. Thanks. Huge investment for space, family of 3. Good for you. Oh, Shift Engineering says 30 days is a huge investment of space for a family of 3. Good for you. Is he talking to you or is he talking to someone in chat? All right, so I'm going to go on to Independent Marine 3522 says, Des, do you have a safe place to store your prep in case of a bug out situation?
Yes. One thing that we're going to be doing more of and really investing our time into is being able to have caches, and I always say this wrong, along the way to where we want to evacuate, or a meeting point. For me, I think you should always have a local area for people to meet if you are in an emergency situation, as well as a bit further locations, kind of the backup. I don't think you should ever really tell people where those places are for your own safety, but have a plan and make sure the people that are going to be meeting with you and family members, they know of that too. But in our home, I try to keep my food preps in 2 situations. One, if we need to hunker down. So that's where a lot more of the long-term food supply is going to really kick in and be available. But also, what can I grab really quickly alongside with our bug out bag and our existing car kit and get the hell out. So I think and yes, it is an investment of space, time, and money. But just like insurance, I hope I never have to use it, but I'm sure as hell glad I have it when it gets crazy. But so prepping for 2 situations, and a lot of the times, especially if you're hunkering down, you're going to be able to utilize all of your preps and your gear and your food stash. But for the most part, keeping a safe space, keeping those in a safe place in your home where it's not, subject to extreme heat, the weather elements. I think you have to think about those things as far as long-term storage, but also investing in caches and being able to have other locations that have some of your food and water and fuel, all the things that you would normally keep. I think you can continue to build on your existing stockpile and hide those along the way for your meetup point. So I hope that answers it. It's always a work in progress. And so I've seen a lot of the really great comments that you guys have, and I can't wait to incorporate that into what I'm doing. But it's kind of this ongoing journey for me and my family. But that's always a tricky one. How do you store your food and your water long term and fuel? Like, there's a lot of different ways people are doing that, and I'm really in awe of like what everybody's their methods. So I hope to learn from you guys.
I wanted to say real quick, because this popped up in chat and I'm sitting there reading. I'm like, oh man, this is interesting. So I want to say congratulations to Shawnee. I guess she had her baby today. So congratulations, Shawnee. I'm assuming, are you watching from your hospital bed?
Congratulations.
If so, I really appreciate that. You are a dedicated subscriber. Hoot Owl Holler says, Des, do you want to learn to pressure can foods?
Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. I will come find you. We'll connect. Send me all the resources, because that's absolutely something I want to learn. At first glance, it seems a bit intricate, but I'm sure that's not the case. I'm probably thinking it's a lot harder to do than it is, but that's awesome. I definitely want to learn that.
Agreed. North Cal Prepper, what's up, man? I just saw you pop in. I knew Angry was going to go live, but I just didn't know when, because I know he went out there. He told me he was going out there to see what was going on in that area. But glad you made it, brother. Glad you made it. We got a bunch of congratulations for Shawnee. And she did say, she's like, I think it's important that children see us doing the prep style life. We're teaching them how to be self-sufficient and involve them. Well said, Shawnee. And Northern Girl said you're well spoken.
Oh, thanks. I try. It's the coffee.
Roman Prepper, thanks for coming by, man. And 5:30 does come early in the morning, but I appreciate you being here, brother. Oh. It's good to keep a list of what we need if we run out of the door.
And to that point, as far as being able to teach our children these life skills and have an appreciation for prepping, I think the same goes for what I've seen a lot of parents do with their children in gardening. I think your children just have a better appreciation for the food that you do consume, and being able to learn the skills of gardening and growing your own food early is important. I lived in the Philippines for a couple of years as a child, and that was just everyday life. You grow your own food, you have your own livestock, and that was just part of daily life. And I think we've kind of lost, especially in the burbs, right? subjective experience here, especially in the burbs. We've lost touch with a lot of that. We go to the grocery store, it's nicely packaged, meat ready to go, pop in the freezer, use it then, use it later, throw it on the grill. I think we've really taken on the convenience items, and we've kind of lost touch with being self-sustaining. But if the sooner we can start with sharing these skills and experiences with our children, we're going to empower them to be much more conscious, but also much more able to continue to prep for their own family someday, and to be able to be self-sustaining. So especially with gardening, I see that a lot, which is amazing, because it's much easier to go to the drive-thru and get some fast food. But one, how, what are we setting our kids up to consume? But also, are we teaching them the value of the food that they're able to consume and eat? Because we've taken a step back with just the height of convenience, where I'm hoping to see more and more families kind of bring that back, because it's something that it's important. We need to teach our kids.
Agreed. What's up, Eric Johnson? Eric Johnson said hello to both of us. Let me see if I can catch up in here. I saw a few other posts pop in there. Cherokee Survival popped in. Let me see here. I think I said what's up to everybody here. Be Charming. Sneaking in there, huh, B? What's going on?
And prep for your animals. That's one thing we don't always talk about, but if you are storing some food for yourself, it doesn't hurt to get an extra bag of dog food, cat food, whatever animal you have, kind of thinking of them also. I know it's unfortunately kind of an afterthought, but a lot of the times these, they're like family. So you want to think ahead for that too.
Yeah, I remember I was telling you earlier about North Cal Prepper. I think I might have mentioned him to you, that he's in California as well, but he's in the northern part of California. I'm pretty sure that's where you are, right, North Cal? And I am looking to make sure I didn't miss anything. Dun, dun, dun. I hear you, Muzzle Flash. Muzzle Flash says some very intriguing things, but he's right. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on in this world. And I don't know if I said what's up to Do Stuff with Nikki. Thank you so much for being here. Klingon Princess. I think I said, I think I've captured everybody. I think I said what's up to everybody. And North Cal Prepper did that. North Cal, North and South Homestead. All right. I think I've caught up to everybody here. So anyways, a couple other things I wanted to touch on real quick, because we're winding down. We're almost to an hour almost. We're at 53 minutes. Not too bad.
Thanks for standing me for this long.
No, you're fine. I mean, we talked for an hour and a half via Skype, so this is not bad at all. And like I said, I feel I wanted to show people that there's a lot of women out there that prep, and then because my base on my subscribers, when I look at my statistics on my YouTube analytics, I have like 48% women, 52% men. So I have a kind of a split down the middle channel, and I like showing that it's other women out there who come across the stream, that it's okay to prep, it's okay to do this. You know what I mean? It's not a man dominated thing, be it a woman or man, or whoever you are, that you can learn the skills and become a prepper, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I know I shared with you kind of during our Skype call. I get a lot of that. I think the very least what I can help do. And there are some amazing, amazing people in the prepping community, male, female, children. The least I can do is help change the narrative of prepping, because I think it's very easy that people who haven't really thought of this and preparedness and prepping, they think it's prepping is just this guy in a bunker with 20 years worth of ammo. And that's, in the side of a mountain. And although it's probably true, they do exist, but that's not what it's limited to. I feel like it's something every family should be having a conversation on at some point, because we've normalized the idea of having insurance, right? This isn't too far of the same trail of thought, where you want to think forward and you want to be prepared and you want to be able to invest in the survival of your family. So I have noticed that it's really fantastic that more and more people, more and more women, parents, younger generations are really starting to think about this. I think That's one of the things that at least I've seen as part of what has happened in the last year, 18 months, is that people are really considering ways to be more self-sustaining, so that when it's crazy, we don't have to go to Costco. We don't have to go to the grocery store, because we have been prepping, or we know how to grow our own food, or we know how to utilize our relationships in the community and build a tight-knit community for these reasons. So, I mean, it never ends as how much you can learn, but the very least, what I hope to do is change the narrative of what prepping is, because it really is for everybody. And I'm hoping everybody will take it serious in some degree and start planning sooner rather than later.
Agreed. And Harvey Black, one of my mods, asked, he says, what do you say about prepping mentally and physically?
Oh man, that's easier said than done. First, it's very, when you think about the shit that could go wrong, it's a slippery slope sometimes for people. I feel like it's very anxiety inducing for anybody. And to some degree it should be, because you should be worrying about how prepared are you and what's lacking. But a lot of the times, at least for me, I try to shut out. There's a lot of negative shit that's happening. I don't think anybody is not aware of it, but the best thing you can do is really try to focus on, at least for me, focus on what you need as a family group in a community to be self-sustaining, to be aware of what is going to impact you. But sometimes you have to take some of the negative shit out and put some blinders on and really focus on what makes you happy, what are ways that you can invest back in your community and your family. I know I use that a lot, but it's an ongoing journey. And just like any muscle, and training that muscle with your brain and your thoughts and the attitudes that you have at home, that's something you have to continually practice. You have to think about, if there was a natural disaster today, would I even be in the right mindset to be able to flee and grab the things I need and go through what we've been training for? So it's a hard one, but it's important to be both emotionally and mentally fit for these situations, because you can have all the preps in the world, all the ammo, all the tents, everything you have, but if you're not in the right mind to keep yourself calm, cool, and collected and follow the plan, it's really not helping anybody. I hope that's kind of morbid. I'm sorry, but it's important. It's a great question.
Well said. And Be Charming, just to let you know, B, she said, you should have sent out notifications. That GreyMan shaking my head. I said, Be Charming, I posted this on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, my YouTube notifications. Maybe I should have posted in the community tab. And also Mark from Rolling Homestead shared it out. Bushcraft Family shared it out. So there should have been notifications everywhere. Mother Prepper shared it out. Everybody's been sharing it out. So
we're glad you're here. We're glad you're here now.
And I forgot, someone said I'm drinking out of a baby bottle. Yes, I have water. And North Cal coming to the rescue. Yes, I'm drinking my coffee as well. And just so you folks know, no, I'm not sponsored by StreamYard. They just sent me a cup.
I was going to say.
Yeah, they sent me a cup because I told them I was going to cancel, and they sent me a cup, and they want me to join this live thing. I don't know what's going on with StreamYard, but that'll be a different time, a different topic. I'll probably talk about that on Thursday. I don't know what StreamYard has up their sleeves. But so they gave me a coffee mug, and I like coffee mugs, and it was the cleanest one and the first one I could grab.
Awesome.
And I've had a couple of people, S. Moore and Monty, say that's a great guest. Truly appreciate that from you folks. Let me see here. Where else am I missing anything? I'm pretty sure I've missed a few things. Let me see here. Cherokee, I bet, did all my gardening for days. That's awesome.
I did see one from Hoot Owl Holler about storing important documentation.
Yeah, I just came across that one.
That's a tricky one. I do keep them in a safe place. We have a safe that we keep a lot of our important documentation in, but just like with anything, you should have some redundancy and duplicate. So if you have the ability to photocopy and laminate them and have them available in your go bags, that's absolutely important. Documentation isn't something that a lot of people think about in like 5 minutes to get the hell out. It's probably not one of the things you grab. We keep our, documents in a safe space, and it's fire deterrent safe, because I feel like there's always the fire ratings you have to keep in mind. So as far as originals, we try to keep them centralized in one location. So if we do have to grab them, it's a quick, easy, let's get the hell out of here. I did have one of my Instagram videos about storage of your important documentations if you're facing a flood. It's something I learned from somebody, a peer of mine that lived in through Katrina when that happened. They threw everything they had. They're like, listen, we don't have enough room. We don't have enough time to get our documentation out of here. They threw everything that was important to them into the dishwasher and they locked it. And the same mechanisms that keep the water in, keep the water out in case of flooding. So I thought that was really interesting. I've tried it we had an older, I should have recorded it. We had an older dishwasher that was kind of just at this junkyard, and we kind of just threw it into a pool and everything was fine. So it works. But for the most part, if you have the ability to not only keep duplicates and photocopies of your important documentation, also keeping a picture on your phone. Now, I know there's probably a high likelihood that, if suddenly all the phones aren't working anymore and there's no electricity, that's not going to work. But the duplicity and having backups to the backup is always a good way to go.
Agreed. Thorhaven, I just saw something you had posted in chat, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. Had said plant a fruit tree instead of ornamentals. I was talking to North and South Homestead, but yeah, no, I agree. If you can, fruit trees are just as pretty as some of the ornamentals out there. And, like I said, it bears fruit. There's all kinds of vegetables and flowers and plants that you can do for medicinal and edibles that look very great for ornamentals as well. Or not, they're not ornamentals, but they're edibles or whatnot that you can use. I always tell people, think before you do something. If you're going to, do something to your yard, if you can implement some sort of food source out of that or medicinal source out of that, it's a great thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, now I pause the chat and then I get lost. Let me see here. Prep for it. Thank you so much. Yeah, smash that like button, folks. Appreciate that.
I'll work on my YouTube content. I'm sorry. Clearly, I'm not trying to get commission off of YouTube. So you guys, I'm just trying to share what works for me, but I definitely need to work on that. Sorry.
And Phoenix, that's agreed. A prepared person will be a sane person. Mother Prepper, do you have a channel? Some folks was asking. Yeah, so North Cal Prepper. So I found Mother Prepper on Instagram. She does have a YouTube channel. I have her Instagram and her YouTube channel in my description of this video below. Some of you folks that may not have Instagram, I understand reasons why some folks don't have certain types of social media. Me being a creator, I have to have kind of all different types of platforms to try to get this word out about prepping and so on and so forth. But she does have a YouTube channel. She is working on it. I think she has like 2 videos up there right now. But
yeah, it's pretty light.
She's very busy in regards to what she's doing, with prepping, with her home life, her job and family and stuff like that. But we'll probably see some content come out of here sooner than later.
Yeah.
All right. Let me see where I'm at. Be right back. Bathroom break. All right. I hear you, man. Document on a thumb drive. Yeah, no. And Klingon Princess, I'm doing that now too. I'm backing up a copy of my phone, an image of my phone on a thumb drive and keeping that somewhere safe where I can run with it.
Yeah, and some people, your comfort level is going to vary, but a lot of people have utilized storing a copy of that as well in the cloud. Again, that just the places that you can have access to important information. Thumb drive is really great too.
What's up, Cooking on the Farm? Glad you made it. Let me see here if I'm missing anybody. 2 is 1 and 1 is none. That is a famous quote right there. I call it a famous quote now. That's awesome. You just planted some new berry trees. Let me see here. Thanks, Muzzle Flash. I appreciate that. Yeah, no, I agree. We're almost there, man. We almost got. Well, right now we had a couple of people drop out, so our thumbs up looks good. Hoot owl. Yes, I still have merch. All right, Be Charming at GreyMan Prepping. What types of fruit trees do you suggest for Central Florida? Good question. Be Charming. Me personally, I like banana trees. I know some folks don't. Banana trees and plantains are there. If you want to call them trees, they're kind of trees. But banana trees and plantains, oranges. Of course, we're Florida, so we have citruses. What other fruit trees? Mangoes, just to name a few. Now the mango you have to be careful with because mangoes get very, very big. My mango tree is bigger than my house. It's extremely large, but just think of something like that. You know what I mean? Hopefully that helps you be.
We have a cherry tree the worst. Oh my God. I mean, it's great. It's great for cherries. It's messy.
So and just so you know, Des, you got some new subscribers, just so you know. So
Oh, thanks,
they're gonna be
guys.
great.
I
They're gonna be
really
great.
have to work on my content. I'm so sorry.
But like I said, what you could do is take some of your Instagram content and probably post it, convert it over to like
Yeah,
YouTube content or something like that, because you
I
have
need to
some
do
good
that.
content there.
Thanks. I was able to get my hands on a fire solo stove, had a pretty good sale over the holidays, and I was able to get 2 of the wood burning stoves, the portable ones. I definitely want to try that too, now that it's not storming outside, but that probably would have been a good time to try my storm-proof matches, but they came a little late. But definitely going to document some of the gear that I do have and trying them. So thank you guys for the encouragement. See, I'm learning new stuff. I can't wait to share all that with you guys.
Yeah, I was going to tell you, let me know if you start posting and stuff like that. I'll let folks know that you're starting to put more content on YouTube and stuff like that. And Harvey, yes, I say we're past the hour mark, so we're just about wrapping it up. If there's any last questions, please put them in all caps and let me know. Yeah, North Cal, there's a bunch of folks, subbing to your channel.
Thanks. I super appreciate it.
Hoot Owl has one question. It says, Des, when will you be finished with school?
Oh, that's a great question. When everybody was sheltering in place, and I had our office had asked us to start working from home to stay busy, I started my journey on my master's. So I'd love to say that I have 1 more year, but with a toddler and a full-time job, it's probably going to be more like 2 years. But luckily, online college can let you build your own schedule. So that's definitely a plus, but it's grueling, but it's worth it. Thank you for asking. I hope that I'm done sooner rather than later, but every day is a step closer. So we'll get there.
Yeah, I see Cooking on the Farm. They're saying they focus on their YouTube content and translate it to their Instagram. So like I said, it'd be kind of opposite for you, but like I said, it might be worth it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait to check out like a lot of the the people that had a chance to reach out on YouTube. I can't wait to check out your guys' content also, especially with gardening, because I'm so new and I feel like a lot of times I'm doing something wrong. So if I haven't killed all my plants and my crops yet, that's a good sign, but I can't wait to see what you guys have too. Thank you.
Prep for it, I'm not sure. I don't think I've showed anything with the Kingsford fire starters. I use a lot of ferro rods, like I'm getting ready to play with the Schrade. It's a thicker fire rod, but there's one that Mark is going to get me or try to get me. There's like a 1/4 inch. It's a monster ferro rod. So, and
That's
Voodoo
cool.
Queen, yeah, Voodoo Queen says, I teach pressure canning through Messenger. If anyone is interested, I stay on from start to finish. That's awesome. Great to know, Voodoo Queen.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, she has an amazing cabinet of these natural remedies.
I bet. That's awesome. I can't wait. Thank you.
And Hoot Owl said, Des, getting your master's is awesome.
Thank you.
Those were cool fire.
If I stay alive by the end of it, lots of coffee, but thank you.
All right. So I think that is about it. It could have been prep for it. I'll have to check, but they are great fire starters as well. Anything that you would like to add, Des, before we wrap this up?
No, I think we covered a bunch. Thank you so much. Again, I'm here to learn. I'm here to just only share what has worked for me, but I really super appreciate what everybody has shared, because this is what makes the prepping community so great. And this is what really I tell people about all the time, because there's always somebody willing to share some information that you can utilize in your own life. And so I'm just so grateful. Thank you again. And thank you, Grey, for allowing me to share the stage with you for a wee bit. But thank you.
People ask me all the time. I said, don't be scared to approach me. Like, some people are scared to approach me because, like, you could be not on YouTube. You can be, a channel with 50 subscribers, or you can be a channel with 1 million subscribers. I'm here to bring everybody on the platform and just have a great conversation with, and that's just the way, me personally, and how I roll. Like I said, I think last week I had Jason at the Angry Prepper, interviewing him. I just jump around a lot. I'm trying to meet people overseas. I had a gentleman from South Africa. I've had Charlie from Newfoundland. I've had Canadians. I'm working on everybody. I'm trying to hit this platform worldwide to bring folks on. But I want to say thank you to everybody in chat that made it for this live stream. Tomorrow is Geared Up Wednesday. Thanks for the super chats that I did receive. I know I received a couple of them, and I will add you to the Super Chat of the Month Club. Or not the club, it's Super Chat of the Month giveaway that I'm going to be doing every month, just to kind of give back to you folks that do that. And Harvey, as always, truly appreciate it. Northern Girl, thank you so much. And I think that about wraps it up. So I'll see everybody tomorrow, and then Thursday night, 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time, late night with Grey. If you can make it, it's always a good time, and you never know who's going to be there. You never know what we're going to be talking about. It's always something to do. All right, guys. So enjoy the rest of your night. This is GreyMan. I'm out. God bless y'all.
Bye. Thanks.